Welcome to Content Chaos with George and Call, a weekly podcast diving straight into meaningful conversations about navigating modern life. Using their weekly review framework, they explore personal growth, professional insights, and cultural observations. No fluff, just authentic dialogue that transforms chaos into clarity.
Hello.
Welcome back.
Charlie's sitting right next to me, chilling out, waiting for Maeve to be home. So it is the last day of March, I think, or the next to last.
Next to last.
Yes. And what went well for you this week, honey?
Well, I was out in Vegas for 3 or 4 days at a big show, a big conference, and that went really well. I moderated a panel with some HR leaders, judged this conference's first, as one of the judges on this conference's first pitch competition, did an office hours thing and had lots of meetings and met lots of people. And it was a good event. It was probably one of the better events in the last couple of years. Just it was attendance was good, and that's been a struggle in, I think, everywhere, but in our industry, just getting folks to leave the office for a few days has been tough between the market and uncertainty, but they did a nice job of getting people there, and that's good for everyone, you know. The energy is good, and it's weird because, while everything's humming in the industry, the world's on fire. So there's always this sort of undercurrent of like, how you doing? Doing great.
Yeah.
Everybody was definitely compartmentalizing for a few days, but not avoiding the reality, I guess. So it felt very real. But yeah, it was good. It was good.
How was Vegas overall? Like, I know I've heard Kara Swisher say that it was dead or something the last time she was there. Like, were there people there? Was there stuff going on in general outside of your conference?
Yeah, there were like multiple conferences at the same time. I always check with the Uber drivers and the taxi drivers, like, how is it?
Yep.
Everybody's super busy. I was late committing to this just because until I get a confirmed speaking slot, I'm not going.
Yeah.
And so based on that, just looking at all of the hotel rooms and the pricing and stuff, it was nobody was hurting to get people in. So I ended up across the street. This was at the Wynn, and if I wanted to stay at the Wynn, it would have cost me $800-900 a night. And that's, I just, I'm not paying that to go to a conference and not be in an $800 a night room. And the Overflow Hotel was I can never pronounce, Fontainebleau, whatever. That was another, $700-800 a night. Even at this conference, I've stayed across the street at the Resorts World before. That was sold out. Like the Hilton at Resorts World was sold out. So it was, there was a lot going on.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good. I was at the Short Hills Mall today meeting up with Allie, and it was dead, but it was like Monday, afternoon around 5:00. So I guess that makes, you wouldn't expect a lot of people at that time.
Yeah. When I was at that same mall before going to Vegas with Maeve, it was packed. It was,
okay.
Yeah, it was. And that was just a random Saturday or Sunday in the afternoon. So, yeah. So, but, Vegas was Vegas. Capped it off with Busta Rhymes. They always get the older, hip hop or R&B. I don't know. They always do a big after party. It's like their thing at this conference.
Yeah.
And I usually don't go because it's not enough to get me to go, but I knew you would have been disappointed if I didn't go to that.
Serious FOMO. I was so jealous. The last time I saw Busta performing live was when I was watching the Thanksgiving Day parade. He was on the float, but I just love him so much, and I'm glad that I'm not surprised. You said he did a great job. I mean, you got to go with these old pros, these Gen X professionals who will show up and crush it.
And, he was on point. He was, it was a well-produced show because it was at one of those big clubs in Vegas where there, it was, you saw Ludacris at UNC at 9 a.m. and That was or 10 a.m. And that was a great show, but it
Yeah.
was daylight and, he
Yeah.
had the lasers and the video and the whole thing. And yeah, it just professional, like showed
Yes.
up and delivered. He gave them probably more than what they paid for him.
Yeah.
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 So what about you?
Okay, let's see what went well in the past week or so. Just a lot of good professional movement, connections being made, not necessarily things to talk about just yet. I was at Rutgers on Wednesday attending it was called a policy collaboratory. It was a mix of people from academia, from, New Jersey state government, people from policy think tanks. And I don't identify as an academic, although, yes, I have my master's degree and I'm working on my doctorate. And I teach in academia, but I don't, I'm not of that world really. So it was interesting for me to absorb and learn new stuff and see how things are changing. I also just so happened to run into people from Union County College where um, I also teach. And yeah, it was just a good day of networking and new things that are coming. Also, it getting ramped up for May Mental Health Awareness Month. So I'm doing programming with various groups, experiential events like YMCA type things, focusing on being present, putting the phone down, being aware, not always having to, look at phones or rely on technology to enjoy our lives. What a concept. Yeah. So I would say that's pretty much it. And
Cool.
what about you? What could have been better in the past week?
Um, I was super focused on executing at this conference, so I didn't have a lot. I didn't, experience a lot of other things. I guess I observed the airports were, mayhem. Not for me because I have the clear, so I actually felt bad just kind of zipping through the airport to my gate while others were waiting in long lines to get through TSA. I don't think Newark was as bad as Vegas, but I didn't see the kind of winding lines out to the street like you see in, Houston and some of the other airports on TV. But
Mhm.
but I observed that, and it was kind of like observing this whole lack of TSA funding and almost like a have and have not thing because I'm just like strolling through and, it took me 5 minutes to get to my gate. These people were waiting for an hour, at
Okay.
least. So, yeah,
Okay.
that could be better, the whole TSA thing.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
How about you? What could have been better on your side?
What could have been better? I would say just in that kind of realm of higher education and the work that I'm doing. I wrote a piece which I published today on Substack and on LinkedIn called To Teach or to Train? That is the question. And there's question is coming up about public education. And it's just really important that we dramatically improve our public schools, higher ed, K through 12, and create environments where people can analyze information, evaluate sources, have constructive conversations and disagree because these are spaces where people encounter people who are unlike them. And we need that. We need that if we're going to have a successful society over the long term. So the reason I say, that falls under what could be better is that we're not on the right track right now. And in fact, with all the AI that is coming out, I did read the White House published their AI guidance. Melania walked on stage with a robot. And what people need to understand is, the White House talks about wanting to have American dominance in AI. It's really important to note, though, that they're talking about the dominance of certain people who are going to make a ton of money, and everybody else is not part of that. So when your job is to educate the public because you want a robust democracy where people are informed and they are making choices based on the information that they have, free will and they're deciding, they're not just getting influenced by ads. You have to have high quality education. And right now, there's a lot of work to be done.
Yeah, it was a great piece, and it highlighted. I read it and shared it. It definitely highlights an issue. And even in the corporate world, we're really so focused on this AI stuff and just like the skills training. And I think the difference between treating humans like more of the capacity machine
Yeah.
alongside the agents, because that's where the conversation's starting to go in my world. Is it used to be workforce planning and headcount planning, and now it's capacity planning.
Yeah.
And what will the agents do? What will the humans do? And the budgeting and forecasting based on that. So we're sort of diminishing almost the role of the human
Yeah.
to looking at them like an agent. And that's that training thing that you
Yeah.
point out for sure.
I mean, Sam Altman himself has made comments about, how expensive it is to raise a human versus an agent and comparing, again, just very perverse misunderstanding of the value of human life, human connection, society, community, all of these things that make life worth living. Anyway, so yeah, that could be better. So lastly, what did you learn this week?
Well, I'm a broken record on like my week was so focused, but I did learn, not so much at the conference. I think I was doing more teaching at the conference, but in my business, I continue to learn. So I was able to automate some things. I was able to crank out some pretty long form pieces and, leveraging just my voice and then AI to help me create that, but then also automate where, folks are hitting a form and then getting my newsletter. It doesn't sound like much, but what would have taken me a while to discover in the platform, I was able to just sort of talk to the machine and, click, click, I was done. So, uh, I was just super focused on, making the most out of that trip this past week. So that was my little tiny learning for this week. How about on your side?
Similar, continuing to make leaps and bounds of upskilling myself with AI and automating things, and just the speed with which I can do deep research and, validating and fact checking. So I literally had the job title fact checker very early in my career. So I know how to compare things. And so when I get outputs that are wonky or bad, I know how to spot it. And that's what we need to cultivate in younger generations who haven't spent their whole career doing this.
Hmm.
They don't have that pre-existing knowledge. But anyway, what I learned today, so it was the No Kings thing. We had a No Kings in our town. It's probably the third one I've been to. At this point, I should keep all the posters, but I actually enjoy making the posters. They're kind of fun.
Yeah.
So I made a new one and I got learnings by doing it. Okay, so mine was about Tom Keene Jr., who is the current congressman from the District 7, New Jersey, and I was kind of looking up his record and analyzing. First of all, he has received over $1 million from Elon Musk's super PAC. That was
Wow.
something I learned. I also learned, coincidentally, that Elon Musk has more money than every single person in the state of New Jersey added up. We got some ballers in New Jersey, so that was pretty. But he is the richest man in the world. So Tom Keene Jr., these are things that he did not do, that he has not done since he's been our representative. He did not vote to fund the TSA and the most recent opportunity. He did not vote. He did not stop the ICE prison from coming to Roxbury and didn't even try to intervene, despite the Republican borough council in Roxbury asking for help and saying they don't want him. They don't want the ICE prison camp because of, sewage and all other kinds of stuff. He did not fix the SALT cap to provide tax relief to middle income taxpayers in New Jersey. He did not save the Gateway to help New Jersey, the whole Gateway project to help New Jersey commuters. I mean, this is literally why he is there. These are the things that he is there to do, but he hasn't done any of them. But what he has done is he approved Trump's tariffs.
Yep.
He supported the Iran war and, giving Trump the blank check to wage an illegal war. He voted for the SAVE Act to take voting rights away from people like me who have, different last names. And he also has raised our energy bills through his various policies and dealings because he is funded by big oil and DC lobbyists. So he's got to go. And there's
Yep.
plenty of evidence at this point. So we don't know who the candidate will be. There's a primary in June, and I will keep all of our listeners informed. But
Cool.
ultimately, I've seen them all, and anyone's a step up from this Tom Keene Jr.
Yeah, he doesn't seem to show up for his constituency no matter what side they're on. I mean, he doesn't do town halls. He doesn't,
Yeah.
he doesn't even speak to the constituency. So, that's
Unseen Tom Keene.
yeah. Yeah.
It's not fun.
Yeah.
All right. Well, cool. Thank you for sharing. And I hope everyone has a great week, enjoying the spring weather, and be well.
Yeah. Till next time.
Ciao.